Good morning and welcome to my hobby table once again. Today's video is going to be video 6 in the old school RC video series, but with the RCM or RCModeler magazine version 2. So what I've decided to do here with this is I'm going to break it down into different ads first. We're just going to look at, like, say today we're going to look at engine ads in either one or both of these magazines, and then we'll move on to looking more closely at airplane ads, airplane kit ads, all NARFs too, airplane ads. And then from there on, I'm not really sure where we're going to go from there. But for now, I've got both of these magazines set out on the table, and I'm going to be filming downward angle today in 4K video so that hopefully the text and everything will be a little bit more readable on YouTube if you decide you want to pause and see if you can read something there. I don't know how that's going to work, but this was a suggestion from a friend of mine in Germany, Uwe. He said he actually wanted me to sit here and flip through all of the pages for 5 seconds at 4K, but I'm not going to do that because that'll take way too long, and I think it'll take way too much memory. As it stands, I'm not sure how much memory in my card it's going to take for doing 4K videos or how that's going to translate into YouTube, but that's what we're going to give a shot to today. So let's look at some engine ads from the past. Okay, so on the table I've got both of these magazines. Now what I did was, if you see here on the tops, I went through both magazines and was just flipping page by page through each one looking for any airplane engine ads. Now this is the May 1983 issue. This is the February 1989 issue. Do you see a difference in the number of tabs I've got marked here? So what I think I'm going to focus on in this particular video is not the May 83 issue because there's fewer engines to look at, but I'm going to look at the February 1989 issue, and I want to see if I can make sure I get this thing in frame the best I can so that you can see these things really well. So I'm going to start here. I'm just going to start with the first tab. Oops, and I don't want to do that. These magazines are a little bit fragile. Okay, so the first ad is for a K&B 65 Sportster engine. I've had one of those engines before. Nice running engines. Just a plain black and white ad. This next one is Super Tiger. Now obviously in May of 89, February 1989, Super Tiger was being distributed by Great Plains, which was Tower Hobbies basically in Champaign, Illinois. So this is featuring the G40 and G49 Sport engines, and I do have a G40 Sport engine at this time. That was one of the engines that was given to me by Kirk. Next we've got Irvine, and the Irvine engines, it looks like I'm getting a glare on this side here. So we've got, this is going to be tough. The Mills Diesel 0.75cc diesel engine. I actually had one of those too. I don't know if it was an Irvine made one, but it was the Mills. And then we've got a 20 car engine, a 20 RC engine, 40, and then the 61 Sport, and then the 21R Speed ABC engines. Again, distributed by Great Plains. I didn't realize that Irvine was ever distributed by Great Plains, but apparently it was. And here, now we're getting a visit from Sasha. Sasha, what's going on? How are you today? Why don't you go look at the magazine over there? The next one is, I don't know how you pronounce this. Kavan. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce this. It's the FK50T. Can you scooch on over here, please? Very expensive engines, made in Germany, very much like the OS Gemini series engines, but so much more expensive. Now, when I had this magazine, I'm sure I had this magazine, this exact magazine in 1989, I would have passed right over this ad because it just doesn't catch my eye. Sure, it's a twin-cylinder engine, and of course, I look at this thing and it says $9.95, and of course at that time I was like, yeah, I don't think so. So this ad doesn't catch my attention at all because it's not full color. It just doesn't do anything for me, but that doesn't mean that it's not a great engine, because I'm sure they are. Next, we've got Hobby Shack ads, and I wanted to look at this just because I thought this was interesting. Do you see anything here of major interest to you? You should. Quite a bit. An OS FS26 Surpass engine, $119. When have you ever seen a 26 Surpass engine for $119? Futaba Attack 4 radio, 104. We got a 20 FP. So we got all these other little listings down here. So 70 Surpass 221 at that time, 91 Surpass 242, 120 322. Let's see, I thought I saw something else down here. Sato engines down here at the bottom. Slide this up just a bit. So FA40 128, FA45 Mark II 141, 65 185, and they go up to the 270 here for 586. So those prices even back then were pretty high, and I think a lot of that reason for a lot of those higher prices was because maybe there was something going on between the US and Japan and the dollar to yen ratio, that type of thing. But we're not typically going to be looking at prices in vendors' advertisements, because I just wanted to look at just the ads themselves, but I thought these were interesting, and there will be others. In fact, if we have time, I'll go to another one. So one of the things that's interesting to me, and let me just digress here for a moment. One of the things that's interesting to me that getting these magazines is going to do for me is I'm always interested in how long was a particular engine made. Like, I know from my OS Engines timeline, I know when it was released, but you never know how long it was in production. Some of these will actually be able to tell us that. Not this particular ad, but I mean here, even this, the FA40, Sato FA40, 1989. I didn't realize that they were still selling the FA40 in 1989. So if I had like 90, 91, if I had all these in sequential order, I'd probably be able to tell when they stopped selling certain engines, which is going to be very instrumental in, for me, I think it's interesting. So here we go. Here's an Indd ad. Indd always had really, really good ads. Full page, full color, glossy ads. This one is in particular is for the Super Sport 25BB. I did have one of these before years ago. Not that many years ago on this channel. You can find it on there. Very awesome engine. I mean, just about any engine is an awesome engine. I've never encountered one that isn't, but I really like these ads. These were the ones that really caught my eye, but it was funny because even though they caught my eye, I was really never into Indd engines, two-strokes, back in those older days. Now I had the Indd 80 was my first, and I say Indd 80, and what's the next ad? Indd 80 was my very first four-stroke engine, and this is probably the ad that got me to buy it. In fact, this who knows? This may have been actually the magazine edition that got me to buy that engine, because it was about in 1989, late 88, 89 when I bought my first four-stroke engine. It was this engine right here, the Indd 80. So they always had really awesome ads, just full color, beautiful. And I've actually seen a lot of people on eBay that will have these cut out, and they'll try to be selling just these one-page ads for like $8 to $10. And it's like, really? You're selling a single piece of paper for... So it's like whatever people will do to make money, I guess. But so the next one here is yet another from vendors here, or Indd RC. Indd RC was a really big. They always have really nice ads in this magazine. I'm trying to figure out why it was that I selected that as like OSFS 120. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it right here. Look here, right here. See my finger? So, looking at the OS engine timeline, I believe that this engine came out in, I don't remember off the top of my head, and it's so far away over there. I think it was like 83. And this is the pre-Surpass FS120, so it's got the split rocker. So this is the original 120 engine here for $289. That's not bad for that engine. But this goes along with what I was saying was, in '89, apparently they were still selling this engine. Now, there's considerable overlap there because I'm pretty sure that the 120E had already come out, the Surpass. So it's like, how much longer was this the last year? Who knows? And maybe I can determine that from other magazines that I'll be getting here. I'm not seeing any other OS ads here. And then we got some Como engines here, which were basically made in the Super Tiger factory. They're basically Super Tiger engines. I think it was one of those things where the same factory in Italy was manufacturing two different engines. One was branded as Como and one was branded as Super Tiger, if I recall correctly. That's all I'm seeing for OS engines here. And then here we got the, wow, we got the Indd 80 4-cycle listed here for $210. That's not bad. That wasn't a bad price then, and you certainly couldn't touch one of those new in box right now for that. Okay, so here's an OS ad. I had some kind of a message up on my camera saying that hopefully this is all still being recorded. 4K video takes up a lot of memory, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to have to do this. So here's an OS engine. And this particular magazine is awesome because it just so happens to have the Sato FA130T review article. Very nice thing here. I better speed this up, and because I don't know how much longer my camera's going to hold out here for 4K video. Sheldon's Hobby. Sheldon's Hobbies was always another really big one for having a lot of really cool, colorful advertisements. And here is a whole page of nothing but engines. Sato, World Engines, which was the ASP. They were marketing ASP engines. Magnum, Rossi, Indd. I don't see that they were doing any OS. They were selling Como engines. I really got some concerns here about whether this was all recording, but we'll see when I'm done. So it's interesting because whoever owned this particular magazine was really into cars, because all throughout this, anytime there's car ads or anything about RC cars, buggies, they marked it up. So final one for this particular is this ad for the Magnum engines. Global Hobbies was the distributor back then. Fountain Valley, California. This is for a Magnum, what size engine are they showing here? Magnum Pro 45. I had one of those too, or I had a Royal. I think I had a Magnum Pro 45. This is the FSR style. So anyway, I'm going to conclude this episode of going through the engine ads in RCModeler magazine just because I'm not sure what that message was on my camera, and I don't know if I was actually capturing this whole video or not. So anyway, if it works out, then I'll just have to try to make sure I keep my words to a minimum and keep the videos as short as possible. But anyway, hope you enjoyed watching. Okay, so it doesn't look like I lost any video from shooting in 4K, but I didn't like the fact that I happened to look up at my LCD screen. I saw this little message. I don't know if the recording stopped at that time, or if it was paused, or if it automatically starts recording on a new video title segment. That I don't know. So anyway, I think I got everything here. I don't know that I'm going to be shooting in 4K anymore. We'll have to see how this uploads to YouTube and see if it actually retains that. I know my software will maintain that, but I don't know if YouTube will do that because it's going to be probably a lot more memory and take more time to upload. So I'll review that and see if that looks like it's a worthwhile thing. Otherwise, I'm just going to go back down to my standard video resolution. But anyway, thank you all for watching this episode 6 of Old School RC with the RC magazine, RCModeler magazine edition 2 video and the engine ads. See you next time.